Legacy Motor Club paid how much for a charter from Rick Ware? And did we really want to see William Byron lead every lap? Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. So in yesterday's video at the 5-minute mark, you heard this guy right here. This is Ripken. He shows up sometimes in videos. You heard him come in and had a very funny moment where he was just super excited to see me, which is funny because I work from home all day, so he sees me all day. But he's one of our dogs, and he's a very excited boy, as you can see here. And there was a comment, and the person was like, get rid of the dog next time. It's ridiculous that you even let the dog in while you're recording. You should have cut it and re-recorded it. Listen. If I wanted a boss in this, I would go work for somebody else making content, but I don't. So I do this on the side. And he's a dog. He doesn't understand. It was a funny moment. I'm never going to close the door to the office because they need to be able to come in if they want to. But to say get rid of the dog? No way. Now, don't get me wrong. I am totally fine with constructive criticism, constructive feedback. I love it because it helps me get better. So I'm more than open to that. But to say to get rid of the dog, I'd much rather get rid of that person as a viewer than get rid of the actual dog here. So that's Ripken. You'll see him from time to time. He has a voice. He certainly does. Hi, my name's Ripken. Sometimes I just get very excited. That's what he talks like. And do I walk around my house doing that? Absolutely I do. And yeah, he'll probably end up making more appearances in videos because he's an excited boy just like that. So let's get into what we want to talk about today. We're going to start off with how much did Legacy Motor Club pay for that charter from Rick Ware Racing? According to Jordan Bianchi, it was substantially higher than what Stewart Haas Racing was charging in their fire sale last year, where they were letting charters go for about $25 million. It turns out Legacy paid Rick Ware $45 million. $45 million, not doll hairs, American dollars, which who knows how much they're actually going to be worth in some time. But for now, $45 million is in fact a lot of money. So that's how much they had agreed to pay Rick Ware. Obviously, that is now in litigation because Rick Ware has backed out of the deal, saying that they had agreed on 2027. Legacy said that it's 2026. Rick Ware signed all the papers that said 2026 and said, wait a second, you bamboozled us here and, tricked us into signing this for 2026. Either way, $45 million for one of the worst charters out there. And remember, charter payments are based on the performance of the last 3 years of that charter. And Rick Ware's charter, they're not good. They're in fact the worst ones out there. And yeah, $45 million, that's the new basement. That's the new ground floor for the price of charters. Imagine if Rick Hendrick wanted to sell Kyle Larson's charter, or, Joe Gibbs Racing wanted to sell Christopher Bell's charter. How much are those worth? Are we talking about $60 million, $70 million? Jimmy Johnson was on a podcast not too long ago, like within the last 2 weeks, where he said he believes that charter prices are going to hit somewhere around, $50, $60, $70 million, and they're going to continue to go up. And Jordan Bianchi said this on the Dale Jr. podcast, Dale Jr. Download, sorry. And you could kind of hear Dale's just dejected tone in his voice, kind of having this realization that Junior Motorsports is never going to be a NASCAR Cup Series team without private equity or a sports fund coming in and helping purchase those charters. Because right now, if he wants a charter, like I said, we're talking about $45 million, and that's for the worst one out there. Clearly, that already potentially has a buyer, depending on what the courts decide here. So if he wanted to go get one, he's looking at $50 million. And if he wants two, he's looking at $100 million. And he's got to buy all the cars to go along with it. And by the time all's said and done, you're looking at, for him, probably about $125-ish million investment. And that's a lot of money to spend on a race team for a charter system that is still not permanent and still could very much just go away in the next 7 years. It's not going to go away regardless of what happens with the 2311 NASCAR lawsuit. There are still, 13 other teams that sign that charter, whatever it is. 15 other teams that signed that charter deal with the expectation that would be for the next 7 years. So we'll see how that plays out. But $45 million, that is a lot. And that is why Legacy definitely wants to go out and get that charter from Rick Ware Racing. That's why they are pursuing legal action, and also why they brought in a wealth fund to help purchase that as well. Jimmy Johnson is the primary owner of the team, but Jimmy Johnson's not plopping down $45 million for a charter. He's just not doing that. So yeah, substantial money to come and play in the NASCAR Cup Series right now. And I know people are going to say that charters are bad, this and that. Listen, charters are objectively good. It has made the field more competitive. So is the Gen 7 car, but running well is encouraged because, well, it makes your team worth more money. So everybody's out there trying a little bit harder. You can make the argument that Ware Racing and that 51 car are not actually trying that hard, but everybody else continues to go out there and do that. There was also some talk about Ware wanting to, their deal with RFK for the 60 car Ryan Preece is a multi-year deal. So you can only lease the charter out 1 year at a time. So the thought process behind there is they've leased out what was the 15 charter last year to Ware this year for the 60 car. Then next year, they would take back possession of that number 15 charter and then lease out the charter to the 51 to RFK. And then at the end of the 2026 season, well, RFK is going to have to figure out how they're going to get a third charter, whether that's buying one from RFK or from Ware Racing, and then they just have no more charters left or what. But that's how that was going to play out. And now, because Legacy wanted to take that charter, that left them in this weird spot of not having a charter available. So it's all going to have to play out in the courts. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. But yeah, substantial price. One thing I've been thinking a lot about since Sunday in the NASCAR Cup Series race at Darlington is, did we want to see William Byron lead every single lap of that race? All 293 of them. It actually ended up being 297 with a green-white checker there at the end. But Byron led the first 243 laps of that race and was pitching a perfect game up until the green flag pit cycle, which ultimately saw him stay out too long, get mired back in traffic a little bit, and then ultimately doomed his day. The most dominant car of the day ends up finishing second. Denny Hamlin leads 10 lap, goes on to win. But William Byron leading all 293 laps, yeah, that's definitely something I wish we could have seen because it's unprecedented, especially in this hyper-competitive modern era of NASCAR. The last time it happened in the Cup Series was Jeff Burton at New Hampshire in 2000. They were in restrictor plates on the cars that year because of the tragic accidents that they had at New Hampshire leading up to that race where they had 2 deaths, unfortunately, at that track. So they put restrictor plates on them, and guess what? Passing was at an absolute premium that day, and Jeff Burton goes on to lead all 300 laps. The last time we kind of saw it in the Xfinity Series, I believe, was Joey Logano did it at Bristol in 2015. Was it 2012 or 2011? Kyle Busch did it at Phoenix. Like, it's been done, but doing it at the Cup level in the modern era is incredibly hard. Like Cale Yarborough did it back in the 70s, and it's happened other times before, but in this hyper-competitive Gen 7 era, it's kind of unprecedented. Martin Truex Jr. led 392 laps of 400 at the Coke 600 a few, like back in, what was that, 2018 or 2017, whatever it ended up being, 16? I don't know. Doesn't matter. He led a lot of them. So it's not something that we've never not seen, but having a guy go that long into a race and absolutely dominate is something we haven't seen, actually. And it would have been really cool to actually see him lead all 293 laps to pitch that perfect game. Jeff Gluck kind of talked about it on his podcast this week, where he's like, all my baseball writer friends get to talk about covering a perfect game. 27 up, 27 down for a pitcher. And it's incredible, right? If you've ever been in the ballpark for a no-hitter or a perfect game, it's an electric atmosphere, but it's like the most calm, collected electric. Everybody's like, yeah, we know what's happening. Shut up. Like, we're going to figure this out together. I've been in the ballpark for 3 no-hitters, which is actually kind of crazy now that I think about it. No, 2 no-hitters. I've been in the ballpark for 2 no-hitters. Not perfect games, no-hitters. I saw a Homer Bailey no-hitter. I also saw Jake Arrieta no-hit the Reds one time as well. And it's an electric atmosphere. It's cool. Even as much as I hate the Cubs, it's cool to see something like that happen. To see a guy go out there and lead every single lap of a NASCAR Cup Series race, and something that we probably, chances are, not see happen again, at least not for a while, would have been pretty cool. I know fans probably would have hated it, and there's been a lot of complaints. Imagine if he did. That Jeff Gluck wasn't a good race poll would have been absolutely in the dumps. At some point, though, it's like that Jimmy Johnson 5 straight championships. You got to kind of sit back in the moment and be like, I don't know the next time we're going to see this happen. I didn't think it was possible. I honestly did not think it would be possible to lead the first 243 laps at a mile and a half, 1.336 or whatever Darlington is in this competitive era. But he did it. His pit crew was on it. He was on it. Their strategy was great until it wasn't there at the end. So overall, I really wish we would have seen it. We flirted with history. We were on the brink of it, and I honestly don't know if we're ever going to see that again. Now, I mean, Cale Yarborough led all 500 laps at Bristol. Now, this weekend, watch like Denny Hamlin go out and lead all 500 laps. That would be absolute banana land, but it would certainly not shock me at this rate as well. So Yeah, I wish we kind of would have seen it, but let me know in the comments. What do you think about the price that Legacy Motor Club has reportedly paid for that Rick Ware Racing charter, as well as would you have wanted to see William Byron lead every single lap? Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.